October Red is sponsored by SA Security. Maximum security, minimum fuss.
Hey, good evening, good afternoon, good night, good morning, wherever you are. It's Abs of October Red, and we're back with news and reviews. Had a short little break. Well, it wasn't a break actually, there was just nothing worth talking about. Been following quite a bit of news, stuff that's been happening globally in boxing. Some interesting stuff that I liked that I saw from the press conference for Canelo Crawford. I think a journalist wanted to ask about something that we've been speaking about on our channel, the amendment to the Muhammad Ali Act and what the effects will be should TKO manage to get through with the UBO. The journalist quite bravely stood up and said, what's going to happen? Dana didn't take too kindly to it and said, look, if you want to have this kind of conversation, we can do it via one-to-one interview. This is not the time or the place. We're talking about boxing. Two questions really you have from that. Would he have got that one-to-one interview if he would have done before? I don't think he's going to get it now. I'd be surprised if he did. And was it the right time and the right place? Did he feel like if he didn't ask it there, the question would never have got answered? I like what the journalist said. It is a question. Was it the right time and the place? Is there ever a right time and place to ask serious questions? I think what probably maybe stunted it is the fact that he didn't have any questions for the fighters after. Maybe if he'd had some questions for them first and then gone in for the neck after, or the other way round, whatever. But he got what he wanted to say off his chest. Obviously linked in with that, I think there's been an article with Boxing Scene as well that have said they're on the naughty step, and it's been a while since they can go to any fights that are under the Riyadh season badge because they've questioned Riyadh season. They've questioned their authenticity in being impartial, especially as they now own the Ring magazine. Now, boxing is a very delicate and a very intricate business, and we've seen, I'll just keep it real with you. When I started to ask questions from somebody in the industry, when I was asking questions of their fighters that they didn't particularly like, they suggested to somebody in their business, should I block October Red from coming? That person said, probably not. Probably wouldn't be a good idea, etc., etc. But obviously that news got back to me, and no, they didn't. I obviously still attended the shows. But it does happen. If you do say things that people don't like, they'll try and stamp you out. They'll try and silence you. It's just the way it is. It's not just boxing. It's going to be all over the place. And I get that, because if they're trying to build a business and they see you as trying to sabotage what they're doing, they're going to take umbrage to it. That's just human nature. It is what it is. But it was very interesting to listen to, obviously, the lead up. Canelo as well. Going back to the Canelo Crawford bout. The presenter, Kellerman, was riding hard and saying very strange things, almost like, if those guys didn't get involved in boxing, if Dana didn't get involved, if, His Excellency didn't get involved, then boxing would be nothing. Sort of like undermining, but it wasn't sort of, was it? He was undermining all the hard work that had been previously done. And Canelo said, no, I ain't having that. You ain't saying that to me. I put in some hard graft. The promoters have put in hard graft, and boxing is boxing, and we love it here. Boxing is a great sport. Don't do that. Which I thought was commendable, admirable from Sal Canelo Alvarez to stand up for boxing, to say, yes, you're involved in it. Yes, maybe it will get bigger, but don't you dare undermine the hard work that has been put into boxing from the beginning, because to dismiss that is disrespectful. And I admire that. I always like Canelo because he speaks his mind. He's not afraid to say what he thinks. And in a sport where sometimes you're not allowed to say what you think, sometimes you're not in enough power to say what you think, it's a difficult thing to do. It's a difficult thing to be honest. It's a difficult thing to be impartial. It's a difficult thing to probe and ask why and challenge. But Canelo, he's in a privileged position, and he's worked his way into that privileged position, and he stuck up for boxing, and that is to be admired. What we've just discussed there, please let me know what you think in the comments. I love the interaction that I get from you guys. It's important, it's relevant, and it's what helps the channel. It helps myself with more ideas, more thoughts, and the reason why I'm continuing the news and reviews part of the channel. Because boxing is ever changing. And we speak about ever changing. I had a lovely press release, and we're going to go on to this, from Boxer last week to say that Adam Azim has extended his contract with Boxer. I think I posted this on my Instagram page a couple of days ago. The press release, I'll read that out to you, said, fast rising super lightweight superstar Adam Azim, one of the most exciting young fighters in world boxing, has signed a new contract with Boxer, committing his future to the next generation boxing promotion. Azim first signed with Boxer in 2021, just one fight into his professional career. Since then, the electrifying 23-year-old has quickly established himself as one of the sport's brightest young stars. Under the Boxer banner, Azim has made history, winning and defending the European title in record time, before announcing himself on the world stage with the 9th round stoppage of former world champion Sergey Lipinets to capture the IBO World Super Lightweight crown. Having signed a new promotional pact with Boxer, the undefeated fighter is ready to take his next steps towards global domination as he targets world glory and the biggest fights in the division. Adam Azim said, "I am very happy to sign this new deal with Boxer. They have been with me from the start, and together we have already achieved so much. I know I have the right team around me to take me to the top and continue to build a massive fan base on the biggest platforms. I'm excited for this next chapter. I want to fight for world titles and test myself against the best fighters out there. I'm ready to show the world what I'm truly capable of." Ben Shalom, Boxer founder and CEO, then said, "Adam Azim is a generational talent and one of the most exciting fighters in world boxing. We're thrilled he has chosen to commit his future to Boxer. He has all the attributes to become a global superstar, and we will provide him with the biggest platforms and the biggest fights to enable him to fulfill his potential." So that was 2 days ago. And I've got to put my hands up because I get things wrong, and I'm never mindful of saying things, understanding that the possibilities I get them wrong, because I thought Adam Azim was one of them that was going to make an exit. I did make a prediction on who I thought would leave, and I thought it was going to be Azim. I think when I saw him with Hamza Shiraz, he was at a Queensbury show and they were having a little bit of a to-in and fro-in. What's going on with you? When are you out next? And Hamza's like, you better hurry up or you can come over here with us. And I thought, I wonder what's going on there. So I thought, put my hands up, I got it wrong, that Adam Azim would have left Boxer. But he didn't. And it shows two things. It shows Adam Azim's loyalty, and he's obviously been offered something worth him staying, and it also shows Ben Shalom's determination to fight for his fighters. I've said it before, he is not going out like a punk. He is fighting his way to stay in the business. He's weathering what we call the storm. And I admire him for that. However it goes, however it turns out, I always like to see somebody fight. But we move on from that. And I was browsing X, as you do. X is such a brilliant place for information. And I've got to credit everything boxing. My fellow in boxing, Darshan, I know he does some work for the Ring as well. He's got a successful X account where he does his reports. And this comes via the Mail Sport, but it's behind a paywall. So obviously Darshan's seen that and he's basically just summarised it. The full article is available on the Mail Sport. If you subscribe to their publications, you can have a full read of it. I don't. So I'm going to go by what Darshan has said because I don't have him down as reporting inaccurately. So I'll read out what he says. And I've reposted this on my social media, on my Instagram. If you're interested, it's by October Red. So it's about a couple of hours, maybe 3 hours ago now. Boxer accusing executive of sabotaging Sky Sports deal. Boxer is claiming that John Wischusen, those that know him call him John Wish, worked with Sky Sports' Rob Selms, I do beg your pardon if I pronounce that wrong, to undermine Boxer's renewal negotiations with Sky. Per the claim, Wischusen allegedly planned a competing venture to work with Sky where they sought to poach Boxer fighters and staff and deleted incriminating emails. Boxer argues an unsigned 2024 verbal agreement bound Wischusen to a 2-year non-compete clause. Boxer is seeking an interim injunction to prevent Wischusen from working with Sky or rivals until trial. The Royal Courts of Justice will decide on the injunction next week. So, thoughts on this? Obviously, John Wischusen's, he's been with Sky. He was there. He worked with Eddie Hearn. When Eddie Hearn worked with Sky, he was the chief key matchmaker for Matchroom. So John Wischusen, lovely man, met him several times, really polite, in the background, a watchful eye on the sport, somebody clearly experienced, has been around for a long time. He was there, obviously, when Boxer came to Sky, so he's a face that's been in the industry for a very long time. Those that know boxing will know who John Wischusen is, or is he commonly known as John Wish. So it's interesting to hear that Ben is accusing him, or allegedly accusing him. Like I said, I haven't read the article and I haven't been privy to court documents that he tried to undermine Boxer's renewal negotiations with Sky. Now, when you look at the timeline, this has all clearly been going on for a while, because Boxer's come out and said that they've got this deal, this multi-year deal with BBC Sport. Rumours have come out. I haven't heard anything substantiated from Ben Shalom himself, but allegedly it's 4 fights or 4 main cards a year, which in the scheme of things isn't the best, but it's something. So you've got to think, this article's come out now, but this is something that would have been bubbling in the background for quite a while, when potentially he was renegotiating, or when Sky was saying, look, we've given you enough, we've decided that we do not want to continue, or however it ended up. I can only guess because I wasn't in the board meetings with them and I'm not privy to any of their documents. So I'm going to make the assumption that when they parted ways, this verbal 2024 agreement bound them to in a non-compete clause. In other words, if we leave you, you can't touch our fighters. Now, I don't know how true this is, and people in the know will know that when the fighters signed a deal with Boxer, did they also sign a deal with Sky? Was that Sky deal the fact, we will remain your broadcaster should something happen to your promotional company, we will have certain rights to you? I'm not privy to any of the fighters' contracts. So is there an issue around that? Legal entanglement is what it sounds like, and it's getting to be a little bit of a messy divorce. Verbal agreement, as you and I know, if it's not put in writing, it didn't happen. Boxers alleging that there's emails that have been deleted. Well, the easiest way around finding out what emails are deleted is to request for a subject access request. And a subject access request, unless they've been deleted into oblivion, will get those emails back, and then you can argue the case in court if you've had those to and fro on emails. But verbal agreements, they say that things aren't worth the paper that they're written on, but in this case there wasn't anything written down. There's no form of contract anyway, so it just sounds like it's a bit messy. We still don't know what's happening with certain fighters. We've had the official announcement with Azim, which is brilliant, congratulations, but we still don't know what's happening with the other fighters, as we've previously reported on Joshua Buatsi going over to sign with Queensbury, and we've seen Vidal Riley announce that he's a free agent. No news on where he's heading, but I'm sure with the belt that he's got, he won't be short of offers. I was wrong. Azim stayed. Still waiting to hear the other fighters that they're going to announce. Allegedly, Caris Artinstall, Boxers won a purse bid for her to fight. And we know the same thing is happening for Fraser Clark versus Jamie Takivi, which was supposed to have been in September. Now we're hearing that it's been postponed. So everything is really up in the air at the moment, and I can only put it down to things, the dust not settling, which I will say once again, that's why I understand and potentially agree with Ben just refusing to do any interviews at this time while everything's being sorted out. When you're involved in legal arguments, when you've got cases that are live, such as this one, this is at the Royal Courts of Justice, regarding an injunction, he's not going to be able to speak about it, is he? So it just seems like they're going through quite a messy divorce, which would suggest that the separation initially was quite abrupt. They've still, like I said, they've managed to land a deal. What's going to happen with the 4 fights? With looking at budgets, are they going to get external monies being pumped into the company as well as the fighters, getting their sponsorships? There's all sorts of stuff going on at the moment. It does look very confusing from the outside. I'm sure it will make more sense to those on the inside. But it's interesting, and it definitely gives us in boxing something to talk about. Hopefully the dust will settle, we'll get some formal announcements, some actual fight dates, locations, etc. And who knows if after these videos, if I'll still be accredited to go and speak to the fighters or to attend the fight. Who knows? But it's interesting nevertheless. But all this being said, it is good to see that, Ben's not going down, and I mean that Ben Shalom's not going down without a fight. Albeit they do say pick your battles wisely, choose your battles wisely. And he's going up against a giant, an absolute giant. Sky Sports, massive. They, Sky Sports, Formula One, just to name one of the sports that they broadcast. Never mind Sky as a company on its own. This is massive. This is absolutely huge. And at least when Eddie parted, with Sky and went to DAZN, it's amicable on the surface. You know, nobody knows if there was any animosity. It was just, yeah, you know, fair enough, it's going to hurt. You've left. We've been together for 25 years, etc. I get that. So, yeah, of course it's going to hurt a bit, but it was very professionally amicable. When it's messy, it's off-putting. Will BBC Sport be looking at this and thinking, oh, this information's leaking out? Does it make somebody unattractive? Just like me talking now, and I'm being quite open with what I'm saying with you guys. We speak about things quite openly here. Will any of the guys that I've mentioned listen to this and think, oh, gosh, if she's saying that about that company, what is she going to say about ours? Don't touch her. Maybe that is why I do stay a little bit stagnant where I am. Maybe that's why I don't push the boundaries and get further than I should. Who knows? I'm sure you guys will tell me in the comments. You don't mince your words. You're a little bit like myself. So we'll see what happens. Messy? Yes. Can it be resolved? Yes. And I'm sure that it will be. But I'm going to get off now because I've got to watch the boxing because we are going live shortly. So just in case you're watching this 3 days later, it's Saturday, September the 13th, 2025, and it's about 6 p.m. in the evening. So with that, I'm going to shout out my sponsors. SA UK, Maximum Security, Minimum Fuss. Thank you very much for sponsoring the channel. Thank you to all of you guys that tune in, that write the comments, take the time out of your day to write the comments, like the video, all the good stuff. I really do appreciate you guys. So hopefully in a few hours, if you're listening to this on the day, date and time that I've just mentioned, I will see you later on. Other than that, keep your ears out. I'll keep the content coming in as much as I can. And yeah, as we say at October Red, stay ready.
October Red is sponsored by SA Security. Maximum security, minimum fuss.